Hello and welcome to Movie Town. Today is my first ever film review and I'm very happy that I'm reviewing this year's film The Holdovers, directed by Alexander Payne, starring Paul Giamatti, Dominic Sessa and Davine Joy Randolph. The synopsis of the plot is a cranky history teacher at a remote prep school is forced to remain on campus over the holidays with a troubled student who has no place to go and a grieving cook. So how I'm going to do these reviews is I'm going to start with the positives, and each of these positives is going to be a certain section of how the film is made and what I think is important for the makeup of the film. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the screenplay, and wow, this screenplay is absolutely incredible. You're going to tell very quickly that I like this film. The screenplay is fantastic, the pacing's great. The way characters speak is realistic to who they are as people. The film takes place in a boarding prep school in the year 1970. So people do speak with a very intellectual twang to everything they say. So that allows the screenwriter to add in these fantastic and beautiful quotes and intellectual and ideological debates and ideas, whilst also keeping it realistic. You get that with Paul Giamatti and Dominic Sessa and their characters, and some of the conversations they have and the important conversations they have. Whereas Mary, who's played by Davine Joy Randolph, who I will get to in a second, she isn't like that. She's just a cook. She works at the school. Her character is doesn't have the same dialogue as the other two characters, and that's great because it keeps it realistic. You understand that she wouldn't speak like they do. She doesn't come from the same place that they do. She doesn't have the same education that they did. So just their dialogue is fantastic. There's an ongoing theme throughout. Paul Giamatti's character, who's a teacher, says to Dominic, because he's a history teacher, he says to Dominic Sessa's character, history isn't just, I'm sort of quoting here, but history isn't just a look at the past and studying the past. It helps us understand our present, because you have to look back at what's happened before to understand what's happening now. So learning history helps us understand what's going on right now. So it's almost a study of life, it's history, which is great, and that's his theory on history and why he loves history. But there's a certain point in the movie where he goes back on that out of love for his particular character, which I won't spoil. It's hard to talk about this movie without spoiling it, but yeah, he basically goes back on that statement, which I thought was really nice to show that yes, he's got his ideologies and his beliefs, but he will change them. He is human. He does care about this person. So that's a great part of the film. So the screenplay is absolutely amazing. I think the second best thing, or maybe even the best thing about the film, is the performances. Paul Giamatti is a well-known actor. He does a lot of comedic stuff, and he's very funny in this film, but he plays the sort of grumpy, grizzled teacher who, maybe becomes a little bit softened by the end, but he plays it so well, and he's so likeable and witty and funny with it, and you understand why he's the way he is. His interactions with Dominic Sessa's character and their sort of relationship, once you watch the film, you'll understand why that's so important to both of them. They both feel a hole left in each other's lives. But really, Mary is the standout for me in terms of performances from Davine Joy Randolph, so much so that I hope she wins Best Supporting Actress at the Oscars. She is nominated. I really hope she wins. I think she will win. She's been winning everywhere else. Her character is so incredible. She plays a woman who has lost her son, and she's just completely by herself. She's on her own, and this film takes place over the Christmas period, and that's a very hard time when you've lost someone. And she doesn't just play it like you would imagine a grieving mother would play it. She still has incredible sass. She's still incredibly funny. She still cracks jokes, but there's this cracking under the surface you can see, and it comes out at certain moments throughout the film. And I find it incredible when people are able to play grief so well in a film, and she does it incredibly. She's the standout of the film by far. But a big shout out to Dominic Sessa, who this was actually his first ever acting performance, which is incredible. He got nominated for a BAFTA. I mean, not many people get nominated for a BAFTA on their first ever film performance, so he's amazing. And apparently Paul Giamatti had a massive help in getting him the gig, which I think is a really lovely story. When you're talking about acting, you obviously then need to talk about the characters that they play, and this to me is one of the greatest cast of characters potentially I've ever seen in a film, and that's very high praise coming from me. It takes a lot for me to become invested in people. I have to see these people as real people, like I'm watching a real story play out, and for me to care about them. And all three of these characters are very different, but I care about them equally, and I want them to all succeed in whatever they're trying to do throughout the film and the development of their characters. Dominic Sessa, takes a while to warm up to him. He has a very striking face and striking appearance, and maybe can come across in some of his dialogue a little snotty and a little snobby. But you look past that once you understand more about him and his background, his home life, and you understand why he's the way he is. And just by the end, the character growth that everyone goes through is just amazing. It's natural. They don't change completely. They are completely who they are from the beginning to the end, but they learn things along the way, change a little bit. And I love seeing character development in a film. So the characters in this film, 10 out of 10. I love them so much, and I wish I could get an extra hour with them. That's how much I love them. So now a little bit of the boring bit for anyone that's not really into films. I won't go on about it for too long, but the cinematography in this movie is beautiful. I'll talk a little bit about the location, I guess, as well. Everything was shot in real locations, which is really nice to see. Often now, because of the advancement of green screens and all that stuff that Disney's doing with the surround screen, all that shit, it's nice, but I'm not a massive fan of it. And the film takes place in 1970, but it looks like the film could have come from 1970. If you ever watch a film from the late 60s, 70s, a lot of them have these wide shots where you're seeing something that's happening, but the camera's so far away, you're almost spectating it from afar, and there's not loads of cuts and loads of flashy editing. It's just letting everything play out. And when you see a film like that, you know that the editor and the director trust the actors, because they will stay on an actor's face for a little bit longer than they should do. It feels almost a little bit uncomfortable, but they're trusting that the actor is able to give a good performance. And most of acting is about how you react, not how you act. And I like the fact that the director decided to leave in a lot of characters reacting to someone else talking. That really allowed the actors to give these incredible performances, and also these subtle performances. I thought that was really great from them. So I only have a few things that I think maybe didn't work so well in the film. Normally I talk about the negatives at this point. I don't necessarily think there's negatives. I think the biggest negative for me is that the first sort of 30 minutes of the film, maybe 40 minutes of the film, don't have a massive amount to do with the story arc of the film. It's set up. We're setting up the school, we're setting up the location, which is great because the location does feel like a character, so that is needed. But I think a lot could have been cut out the first sort of 40 minutes of the film. Again, I just want to spend more time with these characters and the story that they go on. And the film takes place over the period of a Christmas holiday, and I just want to see more of that Christmas holiday. We also spend a lot of time on characters that are in the first sort of half an hour but not in the rest of the film, and we don't see them again. And I think that's a little bit wasted with the screen time. And again, this is almost a positive, and this is almost a compliment to the director and the writers, that they were able to create characters that I want to spend as much time with as possible. And I don't really want to be spending time with characters that don't ultimately matter to the development of the plot or the actual story as a whole. So that's quite a big negative, is that a lot of the film it feels a little bit wasted, although you do get a lot of setup. I also didn't talk about in the first bit the score and the soundtrack. I loved it. There's a great song used at the beginning and the end of the film, which is really beautiful. But I felt that the score was lacking just a little bit of oomph, a little bit of dramatism. You know, it was subtle and it was great. And sometimes subtle scores work really well. And you would assume from this sort of film, it's a dialogue-based film and that kind of thing. But I wanted a little bit more, just a little bit more. But they're the only two negatives really that I can think of. Overall, if you're going into this film wanting a fun time, an entertaining film, it might not be the most entertaining, but I loved it because I fell in love with the characters. And so, you know, I would recommend anyone to go see this film, whether you're into dialogue-heavy films or whatever, or not. Not a lot happens throughout the film, but the characters are so interesting and you learn a lot from them. And I walked out feeling like I learned a lot from these characters and could look at life through a different lens. And you know, only really special films can do that. So my overall rating out of 10 for The Holdovers is 8.9, which for reference is very high. You're not going to see many films I rate that highly, but I've given it an 8.9 out of 10, which sits it, I think, just out of the top 50 films I've ever seen. So, you know, high props to this film. I love the fact I was able to watch this. I now have something to root for in the Oscars, because it has been nominated for a few Oscars as well as Best Picture. I want Davine Joy Randolph to win Best Actress so much. So if she does win and you've watched this video, you know that I'm somewhere celebrating massively for her. I really want her to win. And I would be very happy for Paul Giamatti to win Best Actor. Although of course everyone wants Cillian Murphy to win. That would be great as well. I think it's in screenplay as well, so again, if the screenplay wins, that would be great. I think if it wins all three of them, it might win Best Picture, so you know, maybe not all of them, but at least one of them would be amazing. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you go out and watch The Holdovers, form your own opinion on the film. Let me know what you think of it. It's in select cinemas, and I'm going to pick out a film for my recommendation for you guys to watch. Last video, it was Little Miss Sunshine. If any of you guys have watched that film after I've recommended it, that's amazing. If you guys have watched that film anyway, then please leave it in the comments below. Let me know what you thought of the film. So this is my good side, this is my bad side. Last week I picked one from my good side, so this week's gonna be my bad side. I'll go this one if I can get it. Oh, Blades of Glory. Christ, yeah. So, no, I'm not gonna say anything. If you want to see Blades of Glory with the guy that played Napoleon Dynamite, John Hader, I think his name is, and Will Ferrell, and Pam from The Office playing someone that's addicted to sex, hey, that's up to you. I won't be mad if you don't watch this one, so go watch it. I gave it 6.6, so not too bad, kind of funny, kind of shit. So if you guys want to go watch this, then let me know what you think. If you don't want to watch it, I understand. Thank you guys very much for watching. The response I got from the first video was amazing. Thank you for all your messages. Please message me and let me know what you guys want to see, what you guys would be interested in. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe because it helps me out massively, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.